The first time I found out my daughter was graduating, it wasn't from her. It was from Facebook. One of her friends posted a picture of a shiny cap and gown on a bed with the caption, "We did it. Graduation week." And there, tagged in the photo, was my daughter, Tessa. My stomach dropped because I hadn't heard a single word about it. No invite. No, "Hey Dad, here's the date." Nothing. Just silence. I'm Graham, 49, and I've been raising Tessa alone since she was 13. Her mom left, moved 2 states away, started a new life, and checked in like a distant aunt whenever it suited her. So it was me. Homework, sports fees, dentist appointments, late-night talks, all of it. And I wasn't perfect. I worked long hours. I got tired. I said no when I had to. But I showed up. Always. That's why, when I saw that post, I told myself it had to be an accident. A misunderstanding. Maybe she forgot to mention it because she was stressed. So I did what any dad would do. I texted her, "Hey kiddo, graduation week. What's the date and time? I'd love to be there." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. And when her message finally came through, it wasn't what I expected. It was one sentence. "Dad, please don't come. It'll be awkward." Awkward. Like I was some embarrassing cousin, not the man who worked overtime to keep her in that school. I stared at my phone so long the screen went dark. I typed, deleted, typed again. Finally I sent. Awkward for who? Her reply came faster this time, like she'd been waiting to say it. For me. For everyone. Just don't. No explanation. No apology. Just an order. And that's when I felt something inside me shift, because it wasn't just the words. It was the entitlement behind them. The assumption that I would quietly accept being erased and still keep playing the role of the supportive dad when it benefited her. I called her. She didn't pick up. I called again. Voicemail. So I drove to her apartment after work. Not angry. Not to yell. Just to look my daughter in the eyes and understand what happened. She opened the door wearing sweatpants, hair messy, earbuds still in like I was interrupting her real life. "Why are you here?" she asked, irritated. I swallowed hard. "Tessa, why wasn't I invited?" She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled them. "Because you'll make it a whole thing," she said. My mouth went dry. "A whole thing." I repeated. "It's graduation." She sighed like I was exhausting. "Dad, my mom is coming." "Okay. And my friend's parents. And I just don't want drama." I blinked. Drama. From me. The man who had spent years avoiding drama, so she could have stability. I kept my voice calm. "So your mom can show up after abandoning you. But I'm the problem?" Her face tightened. "Don't do that," she snapped. "Don't guilt-trip me." I stepped back like she'd slapped me. "Tessa, I'm not guilt-tripping you. I'm asking why it's okay to invite everyone except the person who actually raised you." She folded her arms. And then she said the real reason. The reason that made my stomach turn. "My mom said if you come, she won't," Tessa muttered. There it was again. A hostage situation. My daughter's milestone turned into a loyalty test. And my daughter, my own daughter, picked the person who left. I stared at her, trying to understand how we got here. "Tessa," I said quietly, "you're letting her control you." She flared instantly. "No, I'm choosing peace," she snapped. "You always have to argue." I shook my head slowly. "I'm not arguing," I said. "I'm just hurt." She didn't soften. She just looked away and said the sentence that burned into my memory. "Dad, you're making this about you." About me. Like I was selfish for wanting to be included in the one moment parents dream of. I nodded once, because I realized something in that moment. If I kept fighting, I'd become the villain in her story. So I did the only thing that would protect what was left of my dignity. I went quiet. I looked at her and said, "Okay." Her shoulders relaxed immediately, like she'd won. "Thanks," she said, already turning away. And I walked out of her apartment without another word. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen staring at a calendar. Graduation was Friday at 3 p.m. I imagined the ceremony. Her walking across that stage, looking out into the crowd, seeing her mom, her friends' parents, everyone. Accept me. And I felt something colder than sadness settle in. Clarity. Because in my head, one thought kept repeating. If she can erase me from her proudest moment, she can erase me anytime. I didn't sleep much. Friday came, and at 2:45, I was sitting in my car in a parking lot 2 miles away from the campus auditorium, holding the small gift I'd bought her anyway. A watch. Simple. Classic. Something she could wear and remember. My phone stayed silent. No, I'm sorry. No, I changed my mind. Nothing. At 3:12, I opened Facebook again. And there it was. A live video. Tessa walking across the stage, smiling wide. Her friends cheering. Her mom standing up in the front row like she'd been there every step of the way. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I turned my phone off and sat there in the quiet. And I told myself I was done being humiliated. Done being convenient. Done being the dad who shows up for someone who only remembers him when she needs something. And I didn't know it yet. But less than a week later, she would call me crying. Not to apologize. Not to say she missed me. But because her rent check bounced. And suddenly, she'd remember exactly who Dad was. It was Tuesday night, for days after graduation. I was in my living room, half watching TV, half staring at nothing, when my phone rang. Tessa. For a second, my heart did that stupid thing it does, jumping like maybe she was calling to apologize. Maybe she finally realized what she did. Maybe she missed me. I answered on the second ring. Hey, I said quietly. Her voice came out in a broken rush. Dad? Oh my God. Dad, I don't know what to do. I sat up. What happened? I asked. She was crying so hard her words were tripping over each other. My rent check bounced, she choked out. The landlord just emailed me, and they're saying I have to pay by tomorrow morning, or there's a late fee, and, Dad, I'm gonna get evicted. I didn't speak right away. Not because I didn't care. Because I was processing the timing. For days. She could erase me from her proudest moment with no guilt. But the second money was involved, she remembered my number. I kept my voice steady. Why did it bounce? I asked. She sniffed hard. I thought I had enough. I did have enough. But my account is negative now. Negative. I exhaled slowly. Tessa, I said, did you spend the rent money? Silence. A long, heavy silence that told me the answer before she said it. Then she whispered, barely audible. My mom needed help. I closed my eyes. Of course. The woman who could show up for a photo, but not for responsibility. How much? I asked. 700, she muttered. My stomach tightened. So you gave your rent money to your mom? I said carefully. And now your rent check bounced. She started sobbing again. She said she'd pay me back before rent was due. Tessa cried. She promised. She said she had an emergency, and I didn't want her to be stuck, and, Dad, please don't do this right now. Don't do this. Like I was the one creating the problem. I kept my tone calm. I'm not doing anything, I said. I'm asking what happened. She sniffed. Okay. Yes, I gave it to her. But she said she'd send it, and now she's not answering, and I'm freaking out. I stared at the wall, feeling that cold clarity again. Tessa, I said quietly. Did you invite your mom to graduation? She froze. What? She asked. I asked you a question, I said, voice even. Did you invite her? Yes, she whispered. And you told me not to come because it would be awkward, I continued. Tessa's breathing turned shaky. Dad, please. Answer, I said softly. Yes, she said, voice cracking. Yes, I did. There it was. The full picture. She chose her mom for the spotlight. She chose me for the bailout. My chest tightened, not with rage, but with something sadder. A deep disappointment. I took a slow breath and said the sentence she didn't expect. I'm not sending you money tonight. The crying stopped so fast it was like someone muted her. What? She said, stunned. I'm not sending you money tonight, I repeated, calm. Not because I want you to suffer. Because I'm not doing this pattern anymore. Her voice changed instantly, panic turning into anger. Dad, are you serious? This isn't about graduation. This is my apartment. I nodded to myself even though she couldn't see it. It's always about graduation, I said. It's always about how you treat me when you don't need me. She started talking fast, like she could force me into being the old version of myself. I didn't mean it like that. Mom would have caused drama, and you always. Stop, I said, still quiet. And my quietness made her stop faster than yelling ever would. Tessa, I said, you're an adult. You made an adult decision to give away rent money you didn't have to give. Now you have an adult consequence. She sounded horrified. So you're just going to let me get evicted? I shook my head slowly. No, I said. I'm going to let you solve this the right way. She scoffed through tears. How? I have no time. You do, I said. You have options. Call the landlord. Explain it. Ask for 48 hours. Offer a partial payment. Ask if you can pay the late fee and keep the lease. Dad, he doesn't care. Then call your mother again, I said. And if she doesn't answer, you go to her house in person. Tessa went silent, breathing hard. Then she whispered, voice small. She won't open the door. I clenched my jaw. The rage tried to rise, but I swallowed it. Because this wasn't about me hating her mom. It was about me finally seeing what my daughter had been trained to do. Protect the unreliable person and use the reliable one. Tessa, I said softly, listen to me. She sniffed. You are not going to drown because your mother handed you her weight, I continued. But you're also not going to learn if I keep grabbing you every time you fall. Her voice trembled. So what? You're teaching me a lesson. I paused. Then I said the truth. Yes. A beat of silence. Then she cried again, but this time it wasn't just panic. It sounded like something cracking. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. I just wanted her there. I swallowed, throat tight. And I wanted to be there too, I said quietly. She didn't answer, because she finally had no argument. I stayed calm. I'm going to help you, I said. But not like this. Tessa's voice was shaky. Then how? I took a breath. Tomorrow morning, I said, I will come with you to talk to your landlord. We'll handle it face to face. And we'll make a plan so this never happens again. She sniffed. But I need the money by morning. I know, I said. And that's why you're going to do the first hard thing tonight. What? She asked. You're going to call your mom, I said. And you're going to tell her she has to pay you back tonight. Not tomorrow. Not soon. Tonight. Tessa's voice went small. She'll yell. I kept my tone firm but gentle. Then let her yell, I said. Because right now the person paying for her emergency is you. And you're the one who's about to lose your housing. She didn't speak for a moment. Then she whispered, okay. And that, okay, was different than the one she gave me at her apartment. This one wasn't victory. It was surrender. Reality. Before we ended the call, she asked, voice trembling, Dad, are you mad at me? I stared at the dark TV screen. I'm not mad, I said honestly. I'm hurt. She started crying again. I'm sorry, she whispered. And for the first time since graduation, I believed her. But sorry doesn't fix trust. Sorry doesn't erase being excluded. Sorry is just the beginning of rebuilding. After we hung up, I sat there in the quiet, knowing the next day was going to decide something important. Either my daughter would finally grow up, or she'd run back to the same pattern. And I was done being the safety net she only remembered when she hit the ground. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was worried about the landlord, because I was worried about my daughter. When you've been a parent long enough, you can hear it in their voice when something is breaking inside them. Not the rent check bounced panic. The deeper part. The part where they realize the person they've been chasing isn't coming. At 7:15 a.m., my phone rang. Tessa again. I answered immediately. Dad, she whispered. She didn't answer. I exhaled slowly. Okay, I said. Get dressed. I'm on my way. When I pulled up to Tessa's apartment complex, she was already outside, hoodie on, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her life together physically. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She slid into my passenger seat without looking at me. I tried, she whispered. I called 6 times. I texted. I believe you, I said quietly. We drove in silence for a minute. Then she suddenly blurted, voice shaking. She posted a graduation picture last night. I glanced at her. Your mom? Tessa nodded, jaw clenched. She posted photos from my graduation with a caption like she was the reason I made it, she said, voice cracking. And I commented asking if she saw my messages. Her voice broke. She deleted my comment. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Not because I was shocked, because it hurt hearing my daughter learn the truth in real time. We parked, walked into the leasing office together, and Tessa looked like she might faint. The landlord wasn't some monster, just a tired guy in his 50s who'd seen every excuse. He looked up. Tessa swallowed hard. My rent check bounced. He sighed. Yeah, I emailed you. You have until noon before late fees. Tessa's voice trembled. I can pay tomorrow. He shook his head. Tomorrow doesn't work. You knew rent was due. I stepped forward slightly. I'm her father, I said calmly. We're not here to argue. We're here to resolve it. The landlord's eyes flicked to me. He softened just a fraction. Okay, he said. What's the plan? I didn't make it dramatic. I didn't tell him family trauma. I said the truth, clean and simple. She loaned money she shouldn't have loaned, I said. And she learned an expensive lesson. She can pay half today, the other half tomorrow morning, plus the late fee. Tessa snapped her head toward me. Half today? She looked panicked. But I held my hand up slightly. Silent signal. Stay calm. The landlord considered it. Then he said, half today, the rest by 10 a.m. tomorrow. No exceptions. I nodded. Agreed. Tessa's shoulders sagged like she'd been holding a boulder. We walked out, and the second the glass door shut behind us, she turned to me, confused. Dad, how am I paying half today? I looked at her. You're not, I said. Her eyes widened. What? I am, I said calmly. But listen carefully. She held her breath. This is not me rescuing you like nothing happened, I continued. This is me preventing you from losing your housing while we set new rules. Her lips trembled. Okay. I nodded once. Rule 1, I said. You don't lend rent money. Ever. I don't care who's crying. Tessa swallowed. Rule 2, I continued. If your mother needs help, she asks the person she embarrassed you for. She asks the world she's performing for. Not you. Tessa's eyes filled again. She'll hate me, she whispered. I stared at her. If she hates you for having boundaries, I said quietly, then she doesn't love you the way you think she does. That hit her hard, because she turned her face away like she was trying not to fall apart. We sat in the car, and I transferred the partial payment. The receipt hit her email instantly. She stared at her phone like it was proof she was still safe. Then she whispered, barely audible, I'm sorry I told you not to come. I didn't respond immediately, not to punish her, because I wanted her to feel the weight of it, not as shame, but as truth. Finally, I said, Why did you? She flinched. Because she made me feel like I had to choose. I nodded slowly. And who did you choose? I asked. Tessa's voice cracked. I chose her, she admitted. And who showed up this morning? I asked softly. She started crying, real sobs now. You did, she whispered. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't about rent. It was about reality colliding with fantasy. She wanted a mom who acted like a mom. But she had a mom who acted like a visitor, a guest star. And she was finally seeing the difference. Then her phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face changed. Dad, she whispered. What? I asked. She turned the screen toward me. A text from her mom. Why are you blowing up my phone? I'm busy. Figure it out. That was it. No, are you okay? No, did you pay rent? Just annoyance. Tessa stared at the screen like it physically hurt. Then she whispered, voice hollow. She doesn't care. I stayed quiet. Because sometimes the best parenting is not filling the silence. It's letting them finally hear it. Tessa wiped her face and did something I didn't expect. She typed back. Slow. Shaking fingers. Then she hit send. What did you say? I asked gently. She swallowed hard. I said, I won't be lending you money again. And I'm done being punished for loving Dad. I looked at her, and for the first time in a long time, I saw my daughter, not a scared little girl trying to win approval, but a young woman growing a spine. Her mom replied instantly. A long message. Probably guilt, anger, manipulation. Tessa didn't open it. She just locked her phone and stared out the windshield like she was watching an old dream die. Then she asked me, voice small, "Did you still buy me a gift?" I hesitated. Then I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out the small box. I handed it to her. She opened it with shaky hands. The watch gleamed in the morning light. She stared at it like she didn't deserve it. "I didn't come to graduation," I said quietly. "But I still wanted you to have something that reminds you did it." Tessa's lip trembled. "I didn't deserve this," she whispered. I looked at her and said the truth. "You deserved a father who shows up," I said. "And you have one. Don't forget that again." She nodded, crying silently. And as we drove back to her apartment, I knew the real test wasn't going to be rent. It was what happened next. Because now she had to decide. Would she rebuild what she broke? Or would she keep chasing someone who only loved her when it was convenient? That night, Tessa came to my house. Not because she needed money. Not because she needed a fix. Because she needed to face what she'd done. I opened the door, and she was standing there holding a grocery bag like it was a peace offering. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. Not yet. "Hi," she said quietly. I stepped aside and let her in. She walked into my kitchen like it was unfamiliar, which hurt in a way I didn't expect. This house used to be her whole world. She set the bag down and pulled out two things: a small cheesecake and a cheap, slightly wilted bouquet of flowers. "I didn't know what to bring," she said, embarrassed. I didn't want to show up empty." I nodded once. "Sit," I said gently. She sat at the kitchen table, hands folded tight like she was bracing for impact. I poured water, not tea, not coffee, because I wasn't trying to make this cozy. I was trying to make it real. For a minute, we just sat there. Then Tessa swallowed hard and said, "I'm sorry." Simple. No excuses. No but. Just those two words. And it hit me harder than I expected because I realized something. This was the first time she'd apologized to me without trying to manage my reaction. I kept my voice steady. "What are you sorry for?" I asked. She blinked, like she knew she couldn't dodge it. "For excluding you," she whispered. I waited. She continued, voice trembling now. "For letting my mom make me ashamed of you. For acting like you were the problem. For using you when I needed help." That last part was the knife. Because it was true. And she said it before I did. Tessa's eyes filled with tears again. "I hate that you're the one who shows up," she whispered. "And I treated you like you were optional." I exhaled slowly. "Tessa," I said quietly, "do you know why that hurts so much?" She nodded, but didn't speak. "Because I didn't just want to be there for the ceremony," I said. "I wanted to be there because it meant something. Because parents don't just stop caring." She wiped her face. "I know," she whispered. "And when you told me not to come," I continued, "it felt like you were saying all of it didn't matter. All the years. All the sacrifices. Like anyone could have done it." She cried silently. "I didn't mean that," she said. "I believe you," I replied. "But impact matters more than intention." That made her flinch like she'd never heard that sentence in her life. She nodded slowly. Then she said something I didn't expect. "My mom told me you'd try to make the day about you," she whispered. "She said you'd look proud, and it would make her look bad." I stared at her. So that's what this was. Not drama. Not peace. Image. I let the silence sit for a moment, then asked one question. "Do you see it now?" Tessa nodded, tears falling faster. "She wanted to be the hero," she whispered. "But she didn't want to do the work." I didn't celebrate that realization. Because it's painful when your child sees their parent clearly for the first time. I leaned forward slightly. "Tessa," I said, "I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to hear it as love." She looked up. I kept my voice calm, but firm. "I will always be your father," I said. "I will always care about you. But I'm not going to be the person you only call when your life is on fire." Her mouth trembled. "I understand," she whispered. Do you? I asked softly. She nodded again, harder. Yes, she said. I do. I took a breath. Because if you want a relationship with me, I continued, it has to be a relationship, not a transaction. Tessa wiped her face. I don't want it to be, she said quickly. I don't. I just, I got so used to thinking you'd always be there no matter how I treated you. And that honesty, ugly as it was real. I nodded slowly. That's why I didn't send the money that night, I said. Not to punish you. To stop that pattern. Tessa stared down at her hands. I was angry, she admitted. I thought you were being cruel. I nodded once. And now? I asked. She swallowed. Now I think. You were the only one treating me like an adult, she whispered. That hit me right in the chest. Because it was true. Her mom treated her like an accessory. Her friends treated her like a party. I treated her like a person who could grow. She took a shaky breath and asked, Can we fix it? I stared at her for a long moment. Then I said the hardest, fairest answer. We can rebuild, I said, but not instantly. Tessa nodded quickly. Okay, here's how, I continued. You show up. Not just when things go wrong. You call me on a normal day. You invite me to things, even if it's awkward. You stop letting anyone make you ashamed of me. She nodded again, eyes wide. And one more thing, I said quietly. What? She asked. If you lend your mother money again, I said, it comes from your fund budget, not your survival budget, not your rent, not your electricity, not your future. Tessa's face tightened, but she nodded. Okay, she whispered, because she knew I wasn't controlling her. I was protecting her. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. Here, she said. I frowned. What's that? She slid it across the table. Inside was cash. Not the full amount, but enough. I'm paying you back, she said, voice shaking. Every paycheck until it's done. I stared at it, and something inside me softened, not because of the money, but because of what it represented. Accountability. I pushed the envelope back toward her. Keep it, I said. Her eyes widened. Dad, keep it, I repeated gently. Use it to stabilize yourself. The repayment I want is different. She blinked, tears falling again. What? She whispered. Respect, I said simply. Consistency. A real relationship. Tessa covered her mouth and started crying. Not panic crying. Not rent crying. Regret crying. The kind that finally cleans something out of you. She stood up suddenly and walked around the table and hugged me tight. And for a second, I hesitated because that old hurt was still there. But then I hugged her back, because she was my daughter, and she was trying. After she left that night, I sat in my kitchen staring at the wilted flowers, and I realized the lesson I wish every parent could learn without pain. Some kids don't stop loving you. They stop respecting you because they think you're unbreakable. And then one day, they push too far, and life teaches them what you never wanted to teach them. That love without respect turns into entitlement. That showing up doesn't mean being used. And that being a good parent doesn't mean accepting humiliation. It means setting boundaries so your love can survive. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments. Drop a like and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories.